exactly as you are, because that's where the healing begins. That's where intimacy grows, and that's where chains start breaking. So stop believing you're disqualified. I've never taken my hand off your life. I've never withdrawn the calling. I've never revoked the love. In fact, I've drawn closer with every layer you've tried to hide. My redemption doesn't begin when you pretend. It begins when you allow me to sit with you in the reality of who you are. I'm not interested in appearances, I'm invested in the truth. And the truth is, I still call you mine. Not reluctantly, not half-heartedly, but with full knowledge of everything and full commitment to stay. I know your heart is tired of waiting. I know how hard it is to hold on to hope when time keeps stretching further and further, and nothing around you seems to change. You've questioned yourself, questioned the process, and quietly, even if only for a moment, questioned me. Not out of rebellion, but out of weariness. You've watched others receive their answers, their breakthroughs, their celebrations, and you've wondered if I skipped over you. You've wondered if somehow you missed your moment, if something you did pushed the promise out of reach. But let me tell you the truth you need to cling to right now. Delay does not mean I've said no. Delay is not denial, it's preparation. What I've spoken over your life is still alive. It has not been forgotten. It has not expired. It is not void. My word does not return empty, it completes the assignment I've placed upon it. You think you're just waiting on a promise, but I've been waiting on your alignment. I've been shaping your heart, refining your faith, and building the strength that will be required to carry what I'm about to release. Because what I have for you isn't small, it's weighty, it's sacred, and it has the potential to change generations through you. But with great promise comes deep foundation. And foundations aren't rushed, they're built with patience, with pressure, with time. You haven't been forgotten in the delay. You've been developed. The waiting has not been wasted, it's been working something in you that you couldn't yet see. You've gained discernment, humility, compassion, resilience, and wisdom you never would have possessed if everything came easily. I've used the silence to teach you how to hear me. I've used the stillness to break your dependence on outcomes. I've used the tension to pull you closer to my voice instead of external validation. That's not punishment, that's protection. Because when the promise arrives, I don't want you shaken by pressure or distracted by praise. I want you grounded, rooted, and ready. You've looked at the delay as if it's me withholding something good from you, but it's me holding back the weight until your soul is ready to carry it without collapsing. You think you're behind schedule, but you're actually right on track for divine timing. I don't move according to earthly clocks, I move according to eternal strategy. I'm never early. I'm never late. I'm always perfect in timing, even when your emotions beg for speed. I haven't denied you, I'm preserving you. I haven't abandoned the promise, I'm anchoring it. I haven't changed my mind, I'm fulfilling it in the fullness of time, not in fragments. Stop interpreting my silence as rejection. Start seeing it as a whisper to keep walking forward even when you don't see results. Faith is not about immediate evidence, it's about steady endurance. And you've endured more than you know. Don't give up now. You're closer than you've ever been. What I've promised you is not going to be lost in the hands of time. It's not going to wither in delay. It's growing beneath the surface, like a seed in the soil that hasn't sprouted yet. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it isn't active. Just because you haven't felt the shift doesn't mean I'm not moving things behind the scenes. I need you to keep believing, not because everything feels good, but because I'm still good. I need you to keep showing up, not because the breakthrough came today, but because it's already written into your tomorrow. You've been faithful with a little. You've remained when you could have run. You've prayed through disappointment and stayed when it would have been easier to quit. And I've seen it all. Heaven has recorded every tear, every prayer, every sacrifice. And soon, the release will come. Not because you forced it, but because you trusted me even when it hurt. Delay is not the end. It's the stage being set. And when I step in, It won't just be an answer, it will be an unveiling of everything I've been preparing while you waited in faith. I see how often you glance at the clock, not just the one on your wall, but the one ticking inside your heart, the timeline you built in your mind for how things should have unfolded by now. You've marked invisible deadlines. You've attached meaning to dates and seasons. You've told yourself that if it doesn't happen by a certain point, maybe it was never meant to be. And when those expectations weren't met, something inside you quietly fractured. You began to question the pace of your progress. You started feeling behind, as if life handed you a late start and never gave you space to catch up. But I need you to understand something sacred right now. I'm not pacing your purpose by earthly measures. I'm not bound by your calendar, and your worth is not determined by how quickly something manifests. I am not intimidated by time, and I'm certainly not controlled by it. I created it. I reign over it, and I weave every second into my perfect orchestration. You've been stressing about what didn't happen on time, but what if I told you that time has never once dictated my ability to move? I don't rush, and I don't delay, I align. What looks like delay to you is often divine construction. When you think I'm late, I'm often right on schedule for something you couldn't see coming. While you were worrying about time slipping through your fingers, I was ensuring that every piece of your story fit into eternal purpose. You see, one moment, I see the entire timeline of your life, past, present, and future all at once. And I'm not panicked. I'm precise. I'm strategic. There is no such thing as too late in my kingdom. There is no expiration on what I have ordained. What I've spoken over you doesn't have a shelf life, it has a set time. And that time cannot be stolen by delay, detour, or disappointment. You've allowed the pace of others to define your sense of progress. But I didn't design your journey to mirror anyone else's. The comparisons you've made have distracted you from the truth. You're not behind, you're becoming. The pressure you feel to arrive by now, it was never from me. I never asked you to sprint toward destiny on a deadline. I invited you to walk with me daily, trusting that each step is leading somewhere meaningful, even when it doesn't match your timeline. What you call slow, I call steady. What you call stagnant, I call sacred preparation. What you think is wasted time, I have used to build endurance, depth, character, and clarity. I know the seasons you thought would look different. I know the moments you hoped would have already happened. And I'm not dismissing your disappointment, but I'm redeeming it. Because what's coming is not just compensation for time, it's a fulfillment that will silence every doubt that whispered, you missed it. You haven't missed anything that I meant for you to receive. If something didn't happen when you wanted it to, trust that I'm wise enough to know why. Trust that I'm good enough to bring it when it will no longer burden you, but bless you. I'm not ignoring your desire for movement. I'm aligning every piece, so when the doors open, you're not just ready, you're established. And when the moment arrives, it won't feel rushed, forced, or fragile. It will feel like peace. So breathe. Let go of the clock. Loosen your grip on timelines that were never yours to control. The hands of time are in my hands, and my hands are steady. Your story is not running late, it's being written with eternal precision. So walk with me. Trust me. The timing may not match your plan, but the promise is still intact. And when I move, it will be right on time because I am time's master, and I'm writing your story without a single second out of place. You've been interpreting your struggle as punishment, your resistance as rejection, your setbacks as signals that something is wrong with you. But child, the very presence of the battle is not proof that you're losing, it's evidence that something within you is being built. I'm not watching you suffer to teach you a cruel lesson. I'm walking you through this to uncover what's been hidden beneath the surface for far too long. You keep asking for the fight to end, but what if I told you that the fight is where I'm revealing the power you never knew you carried? You've asked me to remove the weight, but I've allowed it not to crush you but to forge you. You think you're breaking down, but I see you being sharpened. The fire around you is not designed to burn you, it's refining you. I'm allowing pressure not to destroy what's fragile, but to awaken what's unshakable. There are strengths I planted in you that don't emerge in calm waters, they rise when the waves crash. And right now, the storm is not evidence of my absence, it's the backdrop for the breakthrough. I see how tired you are. I see how the warfare has increased. I know the heaviness that's tried to silence your praise, the mental weariness that creeps in when the fight lasts longer than expected. But what you're going through is not wasted. I don't allow struggle without assigning purpose to it. Every blow the enemy tried to use to break you is being transformed in my hands to build resilience that no circumstance can undo. You're learning to stand, not because life is light, but because I've made your spirit stronger than what's pressing against it. You've asked me to make you unbreakable, but unbreakable doesn't come from comfort. It's born through persistence. It's discovered when you keep showing up in faith, even when you feel weak. That's where power is revealed, not in pretending to be fearless, but in remaining faithful when fear is loud. And child, you've remained. You've fought when no one cheered. You've prayed when no one saw. You've resisted giving up even when quitting looked like the easier path. And that matters. That's not just survival, it's sacred strength. I never asked you to prove yourself by winning every battle without wounds. I asked you to let me fight through you. You don't need to carry the sword, I just need your yes. Your willingness to keep walking, to keep believing, to keep trusting even when the path is unclear. That's what makes you dangerous to the enemy. Because you weren't created to be a victim of battles, you were made to carry victory through them. Not because of your own might, but because I live in you. And I do not lose. This current fight isn't pointless. I'm using it to strip away the lies you've believed about your limits. I'm using it to bring forward the strength you thought you lost. You haven't lost your faith, it's being deepened. You haven't lost your identity, it's being clarified. You haven't lost your worth, it's being refined. The opposition is real, yes. But so is my spirit inside of you. And greater is what I've placed in you than anything that dares to come against you. Don't run from this moment. Don't curse the fire. Let it do what it's meant to do. Let it burn away what no longer serves you. Let it illuminate the parts of you that you've forgotten, the courage you didn't know was still alive, the resilience that's been buried beneath fatigue. The battle will not last forever, but what I birth in you through it will. And when you emerge, you won't just be standing. You'll be strengthened, wiser, clearer, and more rooted than ever before. This is not your end. It's your awakening. I know how final it feels. I know how it's shattered what you thought would last, how it's disrupted the rhythm you were trying so hard to protect. I've seen you sit in the silence after the breaking, trying to make sense of it, trying to find where it all went wrong. You've questioned your worth. You've replayed the memories. You've wondered if the love you gave was wasted, if you'll ever feel whole again. But I want you to hear me clearly now. This pain you're walking through is not the finish line. It's the doorway. What ended didn't end you. What broke didn't break your destiny. And what left didn't take me with it. I'm still here. And I'm not standing at a distance watching your sorrow, I'm kneeling in it with you. Not rushing you out of it, but holding you until it transforms. Because holy things often begin where human things fall apart. You see devastation, I see foundation. You feel like something precious slipped through your hands. I see the very moment your hands became open enough for me to place something new. I'm not minimizing the loss. I felt it with you. Every tear. Every wave of grief that you tried to push down just to function. Every question that circled your mind while you smiled in public. You didn't imagine the depth of what you gave, and I didn't miss the depth of what it cost you. But now, in the ache of what didn't last, I'm planting something eternal. Something that won't be taken, won't abandon, won't betray. You may not see it yet, but within this breaking is a sacred realignment. I'm removing attachments that were blocking what I truly had for you. I'm severing ties that were draining your spirit. I'm ending chapters not to leave you empty, but to make space for what aligns with your identity, not just your desire. I know it's hard to let go when you built your hope around something. I know it feels like failure when something you prayed for didn't stay. But I need you to trust me when I say what I have for you isn't fragile. It doesn't depend on you striving to keep it. What I give is rooted in peace, not fear of loss. And right now, I'm not just healing your heart, I'm restoring your vision. Because heartbreak is a way of blurring what's ahead. It makes you afraid to believe again, afraid to expect good, afraid to dream. But I came to lift that fear, to lift your head, to remind you that what's broken can become beautiful not because it returns to what it was, but because I reshape it into what it was always meant to be. You've been surviving this heartbreak, but I want you to live beyond it. I want you to breathe again without waiting for the next blow. I want you to love again without rehearsing what went wrong. I want to rebuild you not as you were before the pain, but stronger, softer, deeper in me. You haven't failed. You've been refined. And what feels like an ending to you is a beginning from my perspective, a holy beginning, marked not by what was lost, but by what is being born in the ashes. Your heart will not stay shattered. Your soul will not stay buried beneath this weight. I'm doing something sacred in you. Something you look back on and say, it had to happen not because I wanted it, but because it made room for something greater. Let me walk you through this, not around it, but through it. Let me turn your sorrow into sacred ground. This is not your conclusion, it's your consecration. The sting of being pushed aside didn't just touch your heart, it reshaped how you saw yourself. Somewhere between the closed doors, unanswered messages, and people walking away without explanation, you started wondering if something in you was defective. The rejection didn't just end a connection, it planted questions that took root in your identity. Was I not enough? Was I too much? Why didn't they stay? You've tried to shrug it off, to move forward like it didn't matter. But I saw what it did to you. I saw how it chipped away at your confidence, how it made you shrink when you once stood boldly, how it taught you to expect absence even in the presence of love. You've been living like someone always waiting to be left again. Guarded. Gaius. Carrying silent fears that history will repeat itself. But I've come now not to remind you of what they did, I've come to tell you what I'm doing. Where they rejected, I receive. Where they abandoned, I stay. Where they ignored your value, I reaffirm it with unshakable love. I'm not avoiding the pain they caused it, but I am here to heal it. Because I never intended for their inability to see your worth to blind you from seeing it too. Their rejection didn't define you. My restoration will. The wounds they left aren't invisible to me, they are sacred to me. I trace each one with a kind of love that doesn't retreat. I mark you, not with scars that remain open, but with healing that runs so deep it rewrites your entire story. You are not what they refused to choose. You are who I intentionally created. They may have walked away from you, but I walked toward you again and again, even when you doubted I would. Because I wanted you to know that no amount of human rejection can cancel divine purpose. Rejection doesn't close heaven's door. If anything, it sets the stage for a greater unveiling of what I've placed within you. I've seen the way you dim your light now, afraid that shining too brightly might make people uncomfortable again. But I'm calling your light to rise. Not for applause, not for acceptance, but because what I placed in you was never meant to be hidden to fit where you were never meant to stay. You weren't rejected because you lacked value. You were rejected because your value couldn't be contained in places that were too small to hold it. That room you were left out of. That circle that didn't welcome you. That relationship that couldn't love you well. It wasn't because you failed, it was because I'm redirecting you towards something better. Not lesser. Better. My restoration doesn't look like replacing what was lost with a duplicate, it looks like redeeming your vision, healing your heart, and bringing connections that see you through my eyes. I don't just restore situations, I restore identity. And right now, I'm peeling off every label rejection tried to stick on you. Not good enough. Too broken. Too much to handle. No. None of those came from me. I call you accepted. Beloved. Mine. I'm writing restoration over every place rejection wrote a lie. And it won't just be internal, it will be evident. The way I bless you, the way I lead you, the way I position you, it will all carry the mark of restoration. What once made you feel discarded will become the very place I pour glory. Where you were overlooked, I will raise you. Not to prove them wrong, but to prove that I was right about you all along. You don't need to fight to be chosen anymore. You already are. You don't need to fear rejection anymore. You're already held. My love isn't a second chance, it's your true beginning. And it begins right here, where rejection ends and restoration rises. You've been trying so hard to get everything right before drawing near again, as if I required flawlessness before I would sit with you. But I've never asked for your perfection. I ask for your heart. And not the version of your heart that's cleaned up, polished, rehearsed, or filtered. I want the real one. The one that still questions. The one that's battled discouragement. The one that's tired of pretending it's okay when it isn't. That heart, the one you've been hiding beneath layers of responsibility, distraction, and pressure, is the one I've been longing to hold. I don't want the mask you've worn to function in front of others. I want the honesty you've kept buried under fear that it might make me pull away. But I won't. I'm not looking for the version of you that has everything figured out. I'm not measuring your worth by your ability to be strong every day. I'm measuring your surrender. I'm looking at your willingness to simply show up, just as you are, without the pressure to impress or perform. You've been carrying this idea that you need to heal before you can come closer, but healing doesn't happen apart from me. It begins the moment you stop running, stop hiding, stop trying to make yourself worthy before entering my presence. You're already welcome here. I'm not pacing around in frustration, waiting for you to get it all together. I'm seated in peace, arms open, waiting for the moment you finally stop trying to be enough without me. I don't need your performance. I need your presence. I want to sit with you in the in-between, in the mess, in the moments that feel unfinished. That's where real intimacy happens, not in perfection, but in presence. In the pause between your questions and the answers. In the ache between your faith and your fears. In the space between your striving and your surrender. That's where I meet you. That's where I breathe peace into your unrest and quiet into your chaos. You've been striving for so long that stillness feels foreign. But I'm calling you back to it. I'm calling you back to the simplicity of being with me. Not doing more. Not proving anything. Just being. I want to restore the connection that was never meant to be built on religious routines but on real relationship. You don't have to bring more than yourself. I'm not asking for perfect prayers, I'm asking for honest ones. I'm not asking for faultless behavior, I'm asking for full access to your heart. You've tried to shield me from your weak moments, but that's where I most long to be invited in. Let me sit with you in the silence. Let me be present in the tension. Let me walk with you, not when the path is straight and clear, but especially when it's crooked and unclear. I want to be your first thought, not your last resort. I want to be the one you turn to, not after you sorted it out, but in the very middle of the mess. I know how hard it's been to feel like you're always one step behind, always trying to catch up. But you don't need to chase my presence, it's already surrounding you. You don't have to do more to earn what I've freely given. I'm right here. And I'm not asking you to oppress me, I'm inviting you to encounter me. Stop waiting until you feel worthy. Stop holding your breath until everything feels perfect. That moment may never come. But this one right now is sacred. Because you're here. And I'm here. And that's enough for something beautiful to begin. To come. Not as you think you should be, but exactly as you are. You're not too late. You're not too broken. You're not disqualified. You're mine. And all I want is you here, now present with me. You've been carrying blame for things that were never your fault. Holding yourself responsible for what slipped through your hands. For people who chose to walk away. For circumstances that spiraled beyond your reach. Somewhere along the journey, you convinced yourself that if you had just done more, known more, it might not have ended the way it did. But that voice isn't mine. A heaviness didn't come from me. I never asked you to take the fall for pain caused by others, or to relive moments trying to rewrite them in your mind. I saw you trying to hold everything together, giving pieces of your peace just to keep others from falling apart. I watched you sacrifice rest, joy, and parts of yourself because you thought maybe, just maybe, it would be enough to fix what was breaking. But it wasn't your job to carry what never belonged to you. You've been punishing yourself with memories that were never meant to be prisons. You've rehearsed scenes from the past like you're on trial, trying to defend your heart, trying to justify your intentions. But child, you're not on trial, not with me. I already know your heart. I saw what you gave. I witnessed the effort no one applauded. I heard the prayers you whispered through tears. I know where you went silent just to keep the peace, where you walked away to avoid hurting anyone, even if it hurt you. And I'm not asking you to relive it. I'm asking you to release it. There's no healing in blaming yourself for things you never had the power to prevent. There's no freedom in replaying pain like it will somehow make it make sense. I never assigned you the burden of control. I never required you to carry responsibility for everyone else's decisions. That's too heavy for any heart. That's why it's been breaking you. I never asked you to bleed for others. I already did that. I took that weight so you wouldn't have to. And yet, here you are, exhausted, wounded, still holding guilt like it's some kind of payment. But there is no redemption in self-inflicted punishment. What I want for you is freedom, not self-judgment. What I want for you is peace, not penance. Let me speak to that part of you that still feels like you failed. You didn't. You tried. You showed up. You loved the best you knew how with what you had. And where it fell apart, it wasn't because you were unworthy. It wasn't because you were lacking. It was because broken systems break people, and hurting hearts hurt others. But you're not broken beyond repair, and you don't have to keep hurting yourself for the hurt they caused. I'm not angry with you. I'm not disappointed in you. I'm proud of you for surviving what was meant to suffocate you, for still showing up with a soft heart when it would have been easier to shut down, for holding on to me even when you didn't understand why things happened the way they did. That's not weakness. That's resilience. And now it's time to stop punishing yourself for the past. You can't change it, but you can release it. Let me carry the parts that still torment you. Let me heal the internal bruises you've ignored for so long. You don't have to keep performing strength. You're allowed to grieve what hurt. But grieving and blaming yourself are not the same. One invites healing, the other delays it. And I want you healed. Not just on the outside. Not just enough to function. I want you whole. So breathe, my child. You're not responsible for what they did. You're not the reason it went the way it did. And you are not required to carry this another day. Lay it down. I never asked you to carry what broke you. I asked you to bring it to me. And I'm still here, ready to take it from your hands and place peace in its place. I see the way you've adjusted your life around the wounds. You've been existing in survival mode, navigating days as if joy is something for other people, as if peace is a reward you haven't earned yet. You've been functioning, yes, but you haven't been flourishing. You've been waking up, showing up, doing what needs to be done, but your soul hasn't felt fully alive in a long time. I see it. I feel it. You smile, but it doesn't reach the place where your laughter used to live. You move forward, but it feels like dragging a weight behind you. And I want you to know this is not the fullness I created you for. I didn't breathe life into you just so you could survive the days. I made you to live them. Fully. Freely. Abundantly. But I understand why it's been hard. The pain tried to rewrite your expectations. Disappointment slowly convinced you that living too openly would only lead to more heartbreak. So you adjusted. You learned how to protect yourself from joy because joy started feeling risky. You taught yourself how to settle into numbness because hope felt too fragile to hold. But I never called you to build a life around fear. I called you to walk in freedom. And today, I'm calling you out of survival mode, not because you failed there, but because I have more for you than just making it through. You weren't designed to constantly brace for impact. You were made to breathe deeply, to love fearlessly, to wake up expecting beauty, not just preparing for pain. I want to reawaken what's been dormant inside you, not just dreams, but desire. Not just hope, but joy that doesn't apologize for existing. I want to teach you how to live again. Not the way you lived before the pain, but better. Wiser, softer, yet stronger. No longer driven by fear, but moved by purpose. This isn't about pretending nothing happened. I know what you've been through. I know the walls you built to protect yourself. But those walls have also been keeping you from receiving what I've been trying to give. You've protected yourself from pain, yes, but you've also blocked love. You've learned how to guard your heart, but now I want to teach you how to open it again. Gently, slowly, safely, with me leading the way. You don't have to run. You don't have to leap. Just take the first step toward living, not just surviving. Let joy trickle back in. Let peace be more than a moment, it can become your rhythm. Let hope anchor you, not haunt you. The days ahead don't have to look like the days behind. You are allowed to feel again. You are allowed to want more. You are allowed to move out of the shell survival made for you. That shell served its purpose, it kept you standing when everything felt like it was crumbling. But now it's time to shed it. It's time to live, with your heart open, your eyes lifted, your soul fully engaged in the life I'm breathing into you. You won't always feel ready. But readiness isn't the requirement, willingness is. I just need your willingness to come alive again. I want to show you what living looks like when shame isn't leading you, when fear isn't steering you, when the past isn't speaking louder than my voice. You don't have to live small anymore. You don't have to keep quieting your dreams. You don't have to hide behind strength just to make it through the week. I'm restoring wonder. I'm reviving purpose. I'm reigniting everything that survival buried. And it starts now. You survived long enough. It's time to live. You've been wondering why you don't feel much anymore. Why even the things that once brought joy now feel distant. Why your heart feels muffled, like it's wrapped in a fog you can't shake. It's not that you don't care. It's not that you've given up. It's that the weight of everything has pushed so long and so hard that your soul had to go silent just to cope. Numbness became the only way to function. But child, I see the depth of what's behind that quiet. I know the buildup of heartbreaks that led you here. I know the exact moment you stopped expecting to feel again, when it just became easier to stop hoping altogether. But let me tell you something sacred. Numbness is not failure. It's not a sign of your weakness, it's a signal that your heart has been protecting itself for too long without rest. And I didn't abandon you in this silence. I've been sitting right next to you in it, holding space for what you no longer had the words to pray. You may not feel me, but I've never stopped feeling you. I felt the ache behind your quiet. I felt the longing buried beneath your blank expressions. And I'm not waiting for you to force an emotional breakthrough. I'm inviting you into healing that doesn't demand performance. You don't have to snap out of it. You don't have to pretend to be on fire again. Healing rarely begins with fireworks, it begins with honesty. It starts right here, in this still, quiet place, where your heart admits, I feel nothing, but I still want you. That admission is more powerful than you realize. It gives me permission to enter, not to criticize your numbness, but to gently melt what's frozen. I don't need your feelings to be loud. I just need your yes. Even a whisper of willingness allows me to begin the restoration. I know what emotional exhaustion looks like. I know what spiritual burnout feels like. And I never expected you to carry the weight of everything alone. But you've been carrying it for so long, and now your spirit's gone quiet. Not rebellious, just tired. And I honor that truth. I'm not putting you to manufacture joy or force passion. I'm inviting you to let me breathe life back into your soul. slowly, gently, faithfully. I'm not afraid of the stillness in you. I can work with it. In fact, this is where some of my deepest work begins, when you finally stop pretending, when the noise dies down, and the truth sits exposed in the quiet. You thought you needed to feel something in order to pray, to worship, to belong again. But the truth is, your presence is enough. Your existence in this moment is enough. And I'm not waiting for the fire to return before I call you mine. I called you mine when the flame first dimmed, when the tears dried up, when the praise got quieter, when the questions became louder than the answers. I'm not disappointed that you're numb. I'm reaching into that numbness to wake up what pain tried to shut down. You will feel again. You will hope again. You will laugh with fullness again, not because you forced it, but because I restored it. Your emotions may feel distant, but your value has never wavered. Your worth has never dimmed. Your identity hasn't cracked under the numbness. It's just waiting for my warmth to rise again. So let me near. Let me hold what you no longer have the strength to fight through. You don't have to be on fire to be held. You don't have it to be vibrant to be loved. You don't have to feel everything to still belong to me. I've chosen you in your silence, and I will stay with you until the silence gives way to song. I see how hard you tried to hold it all together. I see the weight you wake up with and the heaviness you go to sleep under. You carry responsibilities, expectations, fears, and unanswered questions like invisible bricks stacked high on your shoulders. You rarely talk about it, not because you want to hide, but because you feel like you have no choice. You've convinced yourself that dropping anything would make everything fall apart. So you keep going. You keep pressing. You keep stretching yourself thin, even when it hurts. But child, I never designed you to live under that kind of weight. That pressure that's been building inside of you. It's not strength, it's strain. And it's not holy, it's harmful. You've been carrying things I never asked you to hold. You've been trying to be the answer for everyone, trying to manage what's out of your control, trying to stay strong for others while you're breaking in secret. But I didn't create you to be crushed under the burdens of life. I created you to walk with me step by step, breath by breath, releasing what was never yours to carry. I know the pressure you feel comes from a good place sometimes. You want to be responsible. You want to be dependable. You want to do the right thing, say the right thing, fix the things that feel broken. But somewhere in the middle of that desire to do well, you stopped allowing yourself to rest. You stopped giving yourself permission to be human. And now joy is slipping away, not because it left you, but because it's being buried beneath everything you're carrying. Let me rescue it before it disappears completely. I'm not standing at a distance, watching you collapse. I'm beside you, gently whispering, you don't have to do this alone. You don't have to carry the pressure of being perfect. You don't have to bear the weight of every outcome. You don't have to solve what isn't yours to fix. Let me be your peace in the chaos. Let me be your strength in the surrender. Give me the pressure before it silences the part of you that still dares to hope. You were never meant to perform for me. I'm not measuring your worth by how well you hold it all together. I'm not watching your breaking point with disappointment. I'm watching it with compassion, because I know that's where your healing can begin. You don't have to hold the whole world on your shoulders. I already did that once, and I carry it still. What I desire is your heart, not your perfection. Your surrender, not your exhaustion. Let me carry what's pressing you down. Lay it down not just once, but every time it tries to creep back in. Every time the pressure tells you you're not doing enough, not moving fast enough, not being strong enough, silence it by placing it in my hands. I can hold what overwhelms you. I can carry what drains you. I can handle what threatens to steal your joy. But I won't force it from you. I wait for your invitation, for your trust, for that moment when you exhale and admit, Jesus, I can't do this alone. That moment, that quiet surrender, is where everything changes. You'll find peace not in solving it all, but in releasing it all. You'll rediscover joy not when everything is fixed, but when your heart is no longer tied to the pressure of fixing it. You are allowed to lay it down. You are allowed to breathe again. You are allowed to find joy in the middle of the process, even before the breakthrough. So stop carrying what's too heavy. Let me lift it. Let me carry you. Let me replace pressure with peace. Let me return your joy not in pieces but in full. It starts with release. And it starts right here. You've been walking through days where your words feel stuck behind the weight in your chest. You try to pray, but the language won't form. You sit quietly, hoping something unspoken will reach me, because you don't have the strength or clarity to say what you feel. Let me tell you something sacred right now. I've already heard it. Every breath you've taken while sitting in stillness, every tear that formed without falling, every sigh that escaped your lips when no one was around, I heard all of it. Your silence isn't empty to me. It speaks louder than you realize. While you've been worried that you're distant or disconnected, I've been leaning in closer, moved by the truth your soul has been whispering without sound. I don't wait for eloquence before I respond. I don't require perfect prayers to show up. I respond to presence, not performance. And I've been in your silence, gathering what your heart hasn't had the strength to articulate. You don't have to find the right words to get my attention, you already have it. I see the ache behind the stillness. I see the weight behind the quiet. I see the longing that lingers behind closed lips. You are not invisible to me. When you grow quiet, you're more transparent than ever. Because silence is often where the most honest prayers begin. When the noise fades, when the walls break, when the exhaustion finally stills you long enough to just be there, I am. Not waiting to hear what you say, but to feel what you can't express. I understand your wordless pain. I understand your unspoken confusion. I understand the inner turmoil that language has failed to capture. You've whispered, I don't know what to pray anymore. That's okay, because I never ask you to carry the conversation alone. My spirit intercedes when your voice runs dry. My presence speaks peace when your thoughts can't settle. My love translates every tear into language that heaven recognizes. You are not less spiritual because you've been quiet. You are not failing because you don't have paragraphs of praise to give right now. You're human. And I know how heavy this season hath been. I know how loud the inner battles have become. Sometimes the most powerful prayer you can offer is your presence with me, even if it's silent. Even if your only offering is to sit with me and breathe. I welcome that. I bless that. I meet you there. Don't let the enemy convince you that silence equals separation. It doesn't. In fact, some of our most intimate moments happen when you stop speaking and just allow me to hold what you can't name. I don't need your explanations, I already understand. I don't need your words, I already know your heart. And I'm not disappointed. I'm not waiting for you to bounce back. I'm waiting for you to exhale, to release the pressure to perform, to realize that being with me even in stillness is worship. Even in your silence, you're seeking me. Even in your stillness, you're drawing near. And I honor that. You don't need to apologize for being tired. You don't need to force words to feel heard. I'm here, listening, responding, carrying you. So sit with me. Let the silence be sacred. Let your quiet become a sanctuary. I'm not counting your words, I'm holding your heart. You've said more in your silence than you realize. And I've answered more in my presence than you know. Keep coming. Keep resting. I hear you even now. I know how heavy that quiet shame has been, the kind that creeps in during the night and whispers, you should have done better. You messed it all up. You let God down. I hear those lies echoing in the chambers of your heart, the guilt that rises when you think about the choices you regret, the moments you didn't feel strong enough to resist, the times you didn't follow through. But let me say this clearly, you are not a disappointment to me. Not once have I looked at you with disgust. Not once have I turned my face away in disappointment. I have seen the battle you're in, and even in your lowest moments, I've been moved by your courage. Yes, and courage. Because it takes courage to keep going after failure. It takes courage to still pray when shame says you shouldn't. It takes courage to face yourself honestly and still come before me anyway. That, my child, is bravery that heaven recognizes. I don't grade your life by flawless execution. I look at your heart. And your heart has chosen me even when your actions haven't always aligned. Your heart has longed for righteousness even when your weakness pulled you in the opposite direction. And that matters more than you know. You see the stumble, I see the struggle you fought through just to stay on your feet. You see the delay, I see the determination it took to keep trying. You see where you fell short, I see the quiet bravery in standing back up, even when no one else saw you fall. I want you to hear me right now. I'm proud of you. Not because you've been perfect, but because you've been real. You've brought me your raw, messy, wounded heart, and you've trusted me with it even after the tears, even after the silence, even after the parts of your story you still wish you could rewrite. And I haven't stopped loving you for a single moment. I don't keep a record of your failures, I keep a record of your faith. The moments you turned your heart back to me. The moments you chose conviction over comfort. The moments you let me pick you up when everything in you wanted to stay down. It's what I see, and it fills me with joy. You don't need to perform to regain my approval. You never lost it. I loved you in the middle of the mistake. I held you through the aftermath. And I've already written redemption into every line of the chapters you thought disqualified you. You don't need to punish yourself to get back in my presence, you're already in it. You don't need to clean yourself up before you come close, I want you near right now, just as you are. I know how the weight of guilt tries to convince you that I've pulled away, that I'm disappointed, that I'm distant. But I'm not going anywhere. I never left. I've stayed. Not because you earned it, but because I promised I would. And I always keep my word. I'm proud of the way you fought to hold on when everything inside wanted to give up. I'm proud of the way you've reached for me even in confusion. I'm proud of how you've begun to believe again, even after heartbreak tried to convince you to never try again. You are not a disappointment. You are a fighter. You are mine. And I'm not finished with you. So lift your head not in pride, but in peace. Your story isn't stained beyond repair. It's being rewritten by grace. And I'm walking with you through every page. I don't love some future, better version of you. I love you now, in this moment, exactly as you are. And that love hasn't dimmed. It's burning brighter than ever. You thought you were off track. You looked at where you are right now, and compared it to where you expected to be, and it felt like failure, like delay, like you missed something. But what you've called a detour, I've called a covering. I didn't abandon you in this unexpected place, I placed you in it. Intentionally, tenderly, to protect what was too fragile to be exposed too soon. You thought I was withholding, but I was shielding. You thought I forgot you, but I was hiding you in plain sight from people, plans, and pressures that would have crushed you if I had allowed you to go where you were trying to go too quickly. I know that's hard to believe when the path feels like it's looping back on itself, when others seem to be moving ahead while you feel stuck in circles. But I never measure progress by comparison. I measure it by preparation. And this what feels like delay is where I've been preparing you for what's too heavy to carry unrooted. I saw what was coming long before you did. I saw the doors that looked like blessings but carrying consequences you weren't ready for. I saw the connections that looked promising but would have drained you dry. I saw the opportunities that glittered on the surface but hid pressure you weren't built to carry yet. So I slowed you down, not to punish you but to protect the seed of destiny I've placed inside you. Sometimes protection looks like restriction. Sometimes my love says not yet. Not because I don't want to give, but because I care too much to give prematurely. I would rather delay a dream than allow it to destroy you. I would rather guard your growth than rush your arrival. And I know how deeply this season has tested you. I know how the silence tried to convince you that you were forgotten. But child, I didn't forget. I was focused. Focused on building the foundation beneath what no one else could see. Focused on strengthening your roots before exposing your branches to wind. focused on healing places in you that success could not touch, but pain could reach. And yes, it felt like isolation. It felt like detour. But what looked like a desert was actually a sanctuary where I drew you closer, stripped away distractions, and taught you how to depend on me, not the outcomes. And look at you. You're still standing. Quieter maybe. Humbled for sure. But stronger in ways you couldn't be without this stretch. You've stopped needing constant confirmation to trust me. You've stopped basing your value on speed. You've learned how to find me in the slow, in the ordinary, in the hidden. That's what this season was always about. You haven't been forgotten, you've been preserved. I've kept you from counterfeit doors because I've been crafting something that only opens by my hand. What's ahead of you is real, is purposed, is weighty, and it requires the kind of strength that isn't built in comfort, but in quiet. You don't see the full picture yet, but when you do, you'll thank me for every delay that didn't make sense at the time. You'll look back and realize that the detour didn't derail you, it delivered you. Right to the center of what I always had planned. So breathe, beloved. You're not late. You're not behind. You're not lost. You're exactly where you need to be for me to do exactly what I need to do. Stay close. Stay open. The path may not be straight, but it's still mine. And if it's mine, you can trust that it leads to goodness. Child, I see you watching everyone else. I see the quiet ache in your heart when you look at what they have, where they are, what they've achieved. I see you trying not to let it bother you, but deep down, it does. You smile, but inside you question, why not me? Why haven't I arrived yet? Why does their road look so smooth, while mine feels like a battlefield? You try to convince yourself it doesn't matter, but the weight of comparison sneaks in like a shadow. And I need to speak into that shadow before it darkens your light. Hear me, your path was never meant to match theirs. Your story was never supposed to be a copy. I didn't write you into this world to mimic someone else's pace or live under their timeline. What I've scripted for you is entirely your own, and it's not late, it's not lacking, and it's not less valuable just because it looks different. I'm not rushing you to catch up, I'm walking with you to make sure you're ready. And what I've placed within you is too sacred to be compared to what I've placed in another. When you measure yourself against someone else's process, you diminish the beauty of what I'm doing uniquely in you. You see them winning and wonder why you're waiting. But child, winning without foundation is just a fall waiting to happen. And I love you too much to allow you to build fast and crumble under the weight of it later. I want your story to last, not just be seen. I want your joy to be real, not just posted. I want your soul to be whole, not just praised by people. That's why I'm taking my time. And I want you to stop thinking that slower means smaller. It doesn't. Sometimes slower means safer. Sometimes slower means stronger. Sometimes slower means deeper. The roots I've been planting in you during this long stretch are preparing you for the kind of fruit that doesn't rot quickly. That's something many never learn because they chase applause, not intimacy. But I've called you to something higher. And that means you won't always understand what I'm doing in others. You won't always see why I allowed them to rise while you were still in refinement. But remember this, elevation without preparation is dangerous. And you've asked me not just for a moment, but for a movement, a life that actually matters. That's what I'm building in you. And it takes longer, but it will stand longer, too. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not failing. You are simply walking a road that was handcrafted for your purpose. And that means it will not look like anyone else's. So stop measuring your progress with their ruler. Stop judging your harvest by their timeline. I don't operate on public opinion, I operate on eternal purpose. I'm not interested in giving you what's trendy. I'm building what's timeless. Your story will make sense in its fullness, but right now, I just want your trust. I want you to lift your eyes off their highlight reels and back onto my heart for you. I want you to know that the joy I'm preparing won't come from being like them, it will come from becoming fully you. A healed you. A bold you. to love you, the one who isn't chasing status but living in surrender. Let me silence the voice of comparison before it steals the joy of your own journey. Let me remind you that what I'm doing in you is not less, it's layered, deep, and eternal. To walk with confidence. Celebrate others, yes, but don't imitate their path. Yours is still unfolding. And the ending I've written. It's better than anything you could have scripted by trying to be someone else. You've wondered if I've heard you. You've replayed those nights where you laid everything at my feet, your tears, your fears, your hope, your longing, and yet nothing seemed to shift. The silence made you question, did it even reach heaven? Did I say it wrong? Am I being punished? Was my faith too weak? I watched you ask these things, not because you doubt me, but because your heart was aching for reassurance that you're not alone in this waiting. Let me speak directly to that ache now. I heard every single word. The whispered ones, the bold ones, the desperate ones, the broken ones. None of them vanished into thin air. Not one was overlooked. Every single cry has been gathered, stored not in some distant place, but close to me, pressed into the chambers of my heart, sealed in the perfect timing of heaven. Because I don't ignore my children. I don't forget what they cry out for. And I surely don't discard the prayers soaked in their surrender. You see, your prayers are like seeds. But not every seed bursts the moment it hits the ground. Some must be hidden, buried, protected. Because their growth depends not only on the soil but on the season. If I had answered some of your requests when you first asked, the weight of it would have crushed what I was still nurturing inside you. Timing isn't delay, it's design. And when it seems like I'm silent, I'm often orchestrating, rearranging what's ahead, preparing what's behind the veil, shifting hearts, softening land, opening doors you haven't seen yet. I am never idle concerning you. My delays are never denials. They are layers of divine care that stretch far beyond what you currently understand. Because I see the full picture, and you only see the frame you're standing in. I know how urgent it feels. I know how long you've waited. I know how it stings when others receive what you're still praying for. But hear me. You are not forgotten in the shuffle. Your miracle isn't lost in the crowd. I'm not behind on your timeline. I'm building something that lasts, something that will need fixing later. So I slow the process not to frustrate you, but to fortify you. You've asked for things that require depth, relationships, healing, open doors, redemption, freedom, restoration. These are not surface-level blessings. They require precision, not just power. And that's why I'm not rushing. I'm storing each prayer in sacred trust until the day when I say, now. And when that moment comes, it will not be small. It will not be random. It will not be delayed. It will be exact. It will arrive with clarity and peace. It will make the waiting worth it. You'll look back and understand that I wasn't withholding, I was aligning. Every tear will be accounted for. Every word will be remembered. And every prayer that came from your surrender will become part of a greater unfolding. So keep praying. Keep trusting. You are not ignored, you are intimately known. And while it may feel like nothing is happening, I am proving my love in the silence. Because even now, I'm closer than your breath, listening with the full intent to answer. Not just when you want, but when you're ready. Because that moment will bring more than relief. It will bring revelation. And you will say, now I see why you waited. Now I know why you said not yet. Until that day, just remember, your prayers are not lost. They are in my hands. And nothing in my hands is ever wasted. Amen.